Hey guys, it's Taylor again, and I wanted to share some further thoughts and analysis from the event that weren't either extended thoughts on interviews or just other things that I didn't include in other videos that maybe people want to know about. And first of all, if you want to know anything about Time and Eternity, I made a gameplay impressions video. I'm sure it's in the description or there's a annotation somewhere. So if you want to know about that, go ahead and check out that video. The whole video is dedicated to that game, and I think it's the one I'm most excited for that was at the event. So first of all, Witch and the 100 Nights is probably not coming anytime soon in America. They did say that, they have a workable demo and they're doing gameplay tests in Japan, and they told me that the biggest problem they had with the game is that they've never done a 3D action game like this before. They did the side-scrolling pretty games, and I guess doing a 3D action game is a lot more complex, so they're just having technical difficulties trying to figure this out. And you would think, it's 2013, and if you're a game developer, you got to know how that sort of thing works, but they're just having trouble since that's not their pedigree, that's not the kind of games they make, so they're having some trouble doing that. And they even mentioned that they are consulting with other fellow game developers in Japan that they're close with, so they're trying to get help from them to try to figure that out. So it'll be out in Japan this year for sure, but I wouldn't count on it being here before Christmas, just to give you guys realistic expectations. So let's say quote unquote winter of 2013, and I'm leaving that vague on purpose. So just kind of forget about the game for a little bit. It's not vaporware. This isn't Last Guardian. This isn't Versus 13. This is a game that exists. This is a game that they are working on. It's just going to take some time, and of course they're going to have to translate it into English, so it's going to take longer. They're going to try to do some sort of simultaneous translation as it's getting built, but it will inevitably get out after and it gets out in Japan and here in America. So, and then the second game, this has been off my radar for such a long time, but somebody kind of talked about it for a second and I had to ask about it. And Nippon Ichi is doing the localization for the PSP game Black Rock Shooter, which is an adapted video game based on an anime. And it's the same company that made Time and Eternity, so they have a good working relationship. And apparently this game's been done for a long time, and it just got caught up in legal crap. Like the people that originally published it in Japan, and then the anime company, so it's going through all this legal mumbo jumbo, and they said it's done. They're just waiting to get all the paperwork done. And they were kind of discouraged because the Vita's been out for a while now, and it's a PSP game. So they're like, we're probably not even going to release it in retail because nobody sells PSP games anymore. So they're going to do probably some sort of discounted digital release, and hopefully it will be PSP and Vita. They said that sort of thing is not, they don't control that. It's all Sony. So they're going to release it digitally on PSP, and hopefully it will come to Vita at some point, so as many people as possible can enjoy it. But that's a game that is done. They're just waiting for the paperwork to get taken care of. And so hopefully that, he said it will absolutely be out before E3. So look for it in the next coming months. It'll probably just sort of be a ninja release of hey, Black Rock Shooter's coming out next week. Enjoy. So don't expect any kind of build-up. It'll just be sort of one of those things where when the paperwork gets in, they're going to send it off to certification and just try to get it done as fast as possible. Disgaea D2. I'm excited because this is the first direct sequel that they've done to any of the mainline Disgaea games. They're bringing back Laharl and Etna and Flan, and I think that's cool that they bring back all the characters that people know and love. That's what people got into Disgaea in the first place. That's probably how people know Nippon Ichi. And so I think it's kind of cool. They're bringing back those characters, and they're going to have all the complex systems like Item World and all that, but they're going to try to streamline it a bit, because they did mention people that grew up with Disgaea probably got the game when they were in junior high or high school like me, and now they're like me and either I don't have kids and I'm not married, but there are people that I know played Disgaea and they have children and they're married and they don't have as much time to dedicate to Disgaea, but they really want to play this game, so they're going to try to make it more appealing to people that don't have as much time to dedicate hundreds and hundreds of hours. And I think it's cool. And from what I saw, these are just trailers and screenshots and stuff. The character models look a little bit more high res. To me personally, Disgaea 4 looked like a PS2 game. They got up-res in the HD. Nothing looked high definition about it. But this game looked a little bit better. The character models looked a little bit sharper. Who knows? They could just be recycling assets for all I know. They didn't have the game in person to show us. It was all conjecture. So I think that's cool. I think that'll be a big hit for them because, people want to continue the story and they want to hear more about their favorite characters. So anybody that's looking forward to a new Disgaea game, I think this will be a cool one. The one oddball game was the Guided Fate Paradox, and that is, to me, a spiritual successor to ZHP Unlosing Ranger versus Dark Death Evil Man. I wrote a review on Blistered Thumbs, so if you want to read a review and not watch a review, I'll leave an annotation or something somewhere you can click on, or I'll leave a link in the description so you can go read it if you want. That wasn't really my kind of game. It's a roguelike where you go into a dungeon, and as you move, the enemies move. You move, the enemies move. And as you go through the level, you collect items. As you go through it, you won't be able to bring them with you. So it's like, go through a dungeon and collect items, and you fight guys as you go along. And then if you die, you lose everything and you start over again. So it's a grindy-ish action RPG thing. It was a really weird hybrid of genres that I just really couldn't get into. But they got the artist who did the Haruhi anime, or Haruhi, or however you pronounce it. So you could probably tell from the art style that it looks similar. So I think that'll be appealing to anybody that enjoyed the anime. I think of all the games that they announced, that was the one I was least excited about, but I'm sure that there are people out there that like those kind of games and will enjoy it. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out and what becomes of that. And then they did sort of talk about, where they want to go in the future. By the way, I just want to say this was the day after the PS4 announcement, and I asked them, and they said none of these games are going to be on PS4. They're going to continue to remain on PS3, so nobody has to buy a PS4. There's not going to be some sort of enhanced version. Even Witch and the Hundred Knights, they're not, as far as they told me, they're not like porting it to PS4. That's not the reason for the delay or anything like that. So nothing will be on PS4 or whatever. But they did say that they really, really want to go multi-platform this next generation. They want to be on 720. They want to be on PS4. They even said they want to be on Steam. And I thought that was cool because not a lot of JRPGs are on Steam. There's Ys, and there's a couple like really niche weird things on there. But there just aren't, like Final Fantasy. I should just not say that. There apparently is a Final Fantasy VII floating around on Steam somewhere, but there's not like, there's not a Tales on Steam. There aren't every Final Fantasy on Steam. So I think that's a good idea that they should do, because they'll be able to get a bigger audience. They'll get more people interested in it. And I know the Xbox is sort of dead in Japan, but I think it would just be smart for, their worldwide audience to go multi-platform. And he even said that last year when I interviewed him, like sort of off the record or whatever, or off camera, not so much off the record, but off camera, he mentioned him being Jack Nita, one of the producers at Nippon Ichi, that they want to go multi-platform. I think that's cool. So hopefully, as they continue to do games like Disgaea 5 will be on every system. And they even said that they want to experiment with multiplayer with Disgaea, similar to Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions, where you could either fight each other or do battles together. And can you imagine multiplayer Disgaea? That would just be absolutely nuts. But I think that would be cool. So all in all, I think it was a very exciting event. For me personally, I'm really looking forward to a new Disgaea, especially one that's a direct sequel. Time and Eternity, I think that's going to be extremely polarizing, because I think people are going to expect deep gameplay, but it's going to be very casual. But I think the art is really cool and it's going to have an interesting story. That's the game I'm most looking forward to. I actually really enjoyed the gameplay. And then I'm interested to see what they do with Black Rock Shooter. And of course, my most anticipated game that they have in any sort of form is The Witch and the Hundred Knights. I'm really interested to see what they do with a full 3D action game, because I like the Pretty games, and they said it's, basically that team that did the Pretty games that's working on it, and they're trying to get help from as many people as possible. So all is well in Nippon Ichi land. If you are a fan of Nippon Ichi, either through the anime. They actually are also doing a lot of really cool stuff with anime. I don't know if you do Crunchyroll or anything like that, but Nippon Ichi's got a really great stable of simulcast animes and also just packaged DVD, Blu-ray anime that they're doing. They're getting heavily into anime, which is cool. Just expanding their business. So there's a lot of cool things going on with Nippon Ichi. A lot to get excited about, especially very soon. Look out for Black Rock Shooter in the next couple months, and then probably after E3 they'll have Time and Eternity, and next fall they'll have their flagship Disgaea title. So stay tuned. I will absolutely have reviews on all of these. I'm very close friends with all the guys at Nippon Ichi. Apparently they actually asked me if I had my Hyperdimension Neptunia copy yet, but I didn't even know I was getting sent one. So that's is in the mail, or by the time this goes up I might even have it. So that will be one of my next reviews, and then I'll have all those other games as a video at some point in the future. So anyway, guys, those are just some extended thoughts and impressions and analysis from the event. If you haven't already, make sure you watch the interview I did. Make sure you watch the Time and Eternity gameplay impressions I had. I'll have links. I'll have all that. And coming this week, depending on when you watch this, I'll hopefully have my Metal Gear Rising Revengeance video up. So anyways, guys, great time to be on the channel as well. Lots of stuff to read and watch and enjoy. So anyway, I will talk to you guys soon, and hope you have a great week.